Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another class of the Choir Directors Academy. I am your host, Angela. Why am I getting tongue-tied? I don't know. Maybe that's part of singing and being a director. You got to get nervous at some point in time so that it'll make you do better, right? But my name is Angeline Lane, and I'm glad to be here. I'm glad that you all are here to share with me. First of all, I want to say I really appreciate the support that each of you have given me. Whether you like the page, whether you like and share the videos to your personal pages, or even those of you who are on YouTube who hit the subscribe button. I really appreciate your support. If you didn't support me, I'll just be doing these videos by myself. I'm so thankful that you all either message me or talk to me and let me know that what I'm saying is actually helping you. And that's a beautiful thing. No one wants to be giving out information and it's not helping anybody. But I get notes and messages from people all across the country, even in Brazil and China and Iraq. Can you believe that? Telling me that they like these videos and they are encouraging to them and they are helping them. And it's a real blessing because sometimes things drop in your spirit and you thinking, well, I'm not really helping anybody. But then when you see somebody in the street or somebody message you or they get on your Facebook page and tell you that you're really helping them, that is such a wonderful thing. So while you're at it, please hit the share button and hit the like button, love button, whatever you want to do, and hit the share button. And those of you who are on YouTube, yes, it's a red button there called subscribe. Please hit that button and share with your friends. Hey, Kimberly, it's long time to see. Glad to see you here on tonight. Yeah, so just like, share, subscribe, do whatever, and help me continue to get the word out. As long as I'm blessing people, as long as I'm helping people, I will be here every week sharing what I have learned. Now, there is we had a little controversy. If anybody's been on my wall, you've seen the video I made this morning. I started to talk about some of those things on tonight. Hey, V! I started to talk about some of those things on tonight, but then I promised, I get notes from people requesting that I discuss certain things each week. So I did make a promise that I was going to talk about this on how to balance out your choir. And honestly, that takes it takes a minute and it takes skill in order to do that. Because if we think about it, the average choir has an uneven amount of people in each section. Okay? And I know I'm jumping ahead of myself. I have 4 things down here that came to mind that I'm going to discuss on tonight. But one of the things, let me just start from the beginning so I can keep my thoughts in sequence. Number one, if you ever noticed that some people, the singers who lack confidence, always sing the loudest? You ever notice that you got somebody that's just singing real loud and they out of tune and you sitting there going, hey, V? You sitting there going, oh my God. No, that is not the note. And they're so loud, and a lot of times what they're doing is they're thinking that they're blocking everybody out. They're saying, well, I'm just going to sing, whatever, and I'm blocking everybody out, and I will be able to understand what's going on. And what they don't realize is the fact that in their mind space of blocking everybody out, they're actually disconnecting themselves from the music. So they don't even realize that they're out of tune and that they're loud, and they're thinking that they're building confidence by singing loud, and it doesn't necessarily work that way. So that's one of the things. If you listen to your group as they're singing, there's going to be somebody that stands out, and that's your job to notate that and kind of help them bring that voice in so that you have a nice, even, smooth sound. That's kind of like the worst thing I can hear if I go to a concert and I'm sitting there and and I'm not overly critical, even with the little controversy going on with the little video that I posted. I'm not overly critical because I always try to see the best in every situation. I really do. But sometimes I go to musicals and I kind of sit there and you hear one person over the whole section. And it's just like they're slightly, and it's kind of like, okay, you got to balance them out. You got to bring that person down and bring everybody up. Because sometimes, we hear that saying that says the squeaky wheel gets all the grease. And so sometimes when a person in that section may be singing louder, that it makes everybody else get quieter because they think that person is actually singing the right note because you haven't said anything to them that they should bring it in. And they tend to think, well, that person must be right, so let me stay low so I can hear them. And actually, that's not the way it should be. So whenever you listening to your choir, single out, not so much point them out, but listen for those who are singing louder than the other ones. Bring them in. Bring them in, to work, blend in with everybody. I always tell my sopranos, altos, and my tenors, I should not hear one person over the next. Even though you're three people, you got three different voice textures, I should only hear one voice, one sound. If you remember that movie Drumline, he said one band, one sound. I should hear one sound in each section. And if I hear three people singing, then I know, hey, Melissa, if I hear three people singing one variation of one note, then I got a problem. I should hear one sound from the sopranos, one sound from the altos, one sound from the tenors. So when you're listening to those sections, those people who are extremely loud, cultivate them and teach them how to bring themselves in, which in turn, you push those who are being silent because they thinking that they're right. Second of all, singers have to remember that they not the main event. You're correct, Melissa, unless it's a solo. If we're singing in a group together, the background, then it should be a blended sound. You have some sections that think that they are the main event. I'm not picking, but it's basically the soprano section, because they always get the pretty part. They always have the melody. If you notice any song, the sopranos always have the melody. So they tend to be, a little more sassy and loud, like, hey, well, if it's not for us, you wouldn't have anything. I'm not prejudiced because I'm an alto, but hey, without the altos, you wouldn't have any harmonies. Generally, it's the soprano. Sometimes usually with the altos, you're trying to boost them. You trying to get them to get loud and boost because, if you don't, then I just got octaves going on. That's not pretty at all. So then the third thing is most choirs do not have an equal amount of members in each section. And, unfortunately, that's how it is. The male population generally is very small in comparison to the women. That's just how it is. I don't know what it is. Now, when they're young, now I find that when I have a youth choir, I have more young men. I do. They dominate the youth choir. But somewhere between 13 and 35, they disappear. And you men are like, what happened to the guys? I mean, what happened? I don't know. So that's where the trick comes in teaching them. A few lessons back, I went through the vocal trainings, how you can teach them and how to open up and resonate so that the sound comes out. And actually one person can sound like 2 or 3 people if they sing properly and stand and keep the vocal area open. With my choir, when we started singing in the competitions, I keep my group kind of small because it was more manageable for me for a competition sequence. But anyway, I had 4 sopranos, 4 altos. I had 4 tenors, but 3 were men and 1 was a female, which really, if she sang, you wouldn't hear because the 3 men basically drowned her out. But through all of the vocal training, those 3 men could drown out all of those women. I mean, there were times I had to tell them to pipe down. Bring it in, brothers. Because I used to call them the 3 more tenors. Because that's all I had was 3. And I would tell them, bring it in because you're drowning out the women. I mean, oh my God. So, but in that I was teaching them. Yes, I do, Melissa. That's, you know what? Because of what happened on the video earlier, I put the sleeves on so I can look like a directress. Anyway, see, I was wondering if somebody was going to catch that. You would. That's my sister, Melissa. You would catch that. But anyway, I had to teach them how to bring it in, how to control. Breathing is paramount because sometimes, I may tell the soprano section, bring it in. I have to tell the alto section, bring it up. I have to tell the tenors, round it off. Because sometimes we get that gospel sound. And we're singing an old, a Negro spiritual. You got the sopranos, they got that strong, you're like, no, round the notes off, bring it in because everybody else has a soft, rounded tone. And you like piercing. You just like out there, So you have to watch. You have to be able to demonstrate to them how you want that sound to come out. You do, because I mean, sometimes people, we only sing the way we've been trained. If all you ever sang in the gospel choir and you could sing any kind of, some church choirs, they basically let you sing any kind of way you want to, just long as you sing the note. And then, some choirs, like mine, I require that you sing properly, that you pronounce your words. I want to hear consonants. I want to hear the vowels. I need to see the expressions. It depends on what kind of choir you were in. Most of the people that I trained that, went on to greater things get accepted right into everybody's choir because they already know how to sing, how to enunciate, how to project. They know because I teach that. Okay. And so when I'm dealing with my sopranos or whichever section it is, I make sure that they understand how to project their voices, how to blend in. You're a group. I don't pit the groups against one another, but you are a group. You should sound like one. Your spirit should mend where you all sound like one voice. A beautiful, sweet melody. Not this piercing, whatever. So you have, as a director, you have to have an ear to hear. You have to be able to hear and not just get through the song, realizing that however that choir sounds is a reflection of you. You know how we always hear, as children, you always hear people say that the children are a reflection of the parent. That choir is a reflection of you. I don't care if you got 5 people, well, it's actually an ensemble, but if you got 5 people singing, it's a reflection of you. And you train, it's hard, but you got to work with each person and get them to a level that if one of the people disappear, there are sometimes I go singing at a church and I got people there on vacation, they got to work, and I get up there with a skeleton crew. But you know what? I make sure the skeleton crew, whoever I got, you can handle that section. And I promise you, when they get up to sing, people are like, oh my God, they sound like a bunch of people. Because you have to do your due diligence. You have to work with whatever you have and develop it. Because I realize it doesn't matter how many people get up there and sing. If I have 20 or if I have 5, everybody's looking, saying, they're not looking at the choir, they're looking at me. So I give the same dedication to 5 people that I gave to 12, that I gave to 25, that I give to whoever. It doesn't matter. When you love what you do, you're going to make sure that it's done correctly. And remembering, it's a reflection of you. We unfortunately, they judge us by how our choirs sound. And, and also you got to remember, and it takes time to get them there, but also you got to remember that you got a lot of people who are not trained in the choir. That affects your vocal levels in there. Okay, because and then some, and I hate to say it, but a lot of people sing according to their feelings. They do. They, if they singing good, if they feel good today, they sing loud, and then you're looking at them like, bring it in, come on. And then if they're not feeling good, they so low, and you got to tell them, bring it up. So you got a lot of different factors involved in trying to balance it out, especially when you got people singing according to their feelings. You have some in the choir that are going to sing well no matter what. No matter how they feel, they're going to sing properly. Okay, they're going to be like your stabilizers. And you need, that's another thing. I'm digressing a little bit. That's another thing. You need to recognize the stabilizers in your choir. And I'm really talking about, it doesn't matter if it's, I'm predominantly talking to church choirs because that's where the deficit really seems to be. But it's also in college choirs. When I was in college in the gospel choir and, the other ensembles, the instructor had to do the same thing. They had to tell some people to, I, as a background singer, I have a very heavy, loud, strong voice. Growing up I started singing a cappella when I was maybe about 11 or 10. I've always been that person that the more complex the piece, I was attracted to it. So as a child, there would be times when we had auditions, I would be the only alto standing up there. So I know how to carry an entire section by myself. It doesn't matter to me. So you need to recognize your stabilizers, the people in the choir who are even. Every time they come, they're the same. They sing the same. They give it all that they have all the time. You have to do that. So pick them out, identify them, and place them strategically in the choir. Yes, you do have to pray. That's why prayer is as it is. Prayer is very important. Along with prayer, you just still need to identify the people that are stabilizers that will help you keep those vocals in line, because it's like anything else. People need some like a measuring rod. They do. In my choir, I have people that are like that. They're the same. They're consistent every time they come. They love singing. So they've learned the technique. And every time we come to rehearsal, they're the same. So I center people around them to help me keep the vocals in line, to stabilize, to keep one vocal section from being higher than the other. Because if that person is constantly on point, then everybody gets accustomed to hearing them and say, you know what? They're the one that she kind of listens to or whatever. So maybe I need to listen to them and kind of figure out, where I'm going. Use the people in your choir to help you. Don't try to do it all by yourself. You can't. You can't. You will wear yourself thin trying to balance it all. Even if you got 15 people, and you can imagine if you got 30 or 40 people, you don't have time to try to balance everybody. You need to learn early to identify, stabilize. Get those people to help you adjust that choir and keep those vocals in line. Seriously. You got to learn how to delegate it. I know we like to be in control and we like to keep everything under our grasp, and we want to, even though it's a reflection of you, but you got to learn how to develop and train people to help you maintain, because you'll burn yourself out if you do that. Okay? So those are 4 things that I can tell you right off. Watch the ones that are extremely loud. Bring them in. Singers who don't the sections that are kind of loud, the sopranos, the altos, or whoever, whatever section. It can be anybody, that just think they're the main event. You have to kind of bring those in and tone them up, realizing that each section, you won't necessarily have the same amount of people in each section. You won't. Generally, we don't have a lot of men in those sections. Honestly, we don't. And work on those who are your weakest link. Your choir is only as strong as the weakest person. I can tell you that. I've experienced that, because sometimes the strong people, as I mentioned before, are the ones that may not be able to show up. So if you never take the time to really work with them, you understand what I'm saying? You're using the stabilizers, but you're still ultimately responsible. You want to make sure that your weakest links can hold a note, that they know the song, that they know the arrangements, that they know, because sometimes that's all you're going to end up with. That happened to me quite a few times. And I realized the importance of making sure that I work with everybody and try to get them to the point that they can all hold their tune. And then I pick out my stabilizers and use them to help me keep the weaker ones in check. But I make sure that they know their parts, because like I said, that happened to me quite a few times, and I end up going out singing somewhere and I look up and then something happened and all I got is the weakest link sitting there. Thankfully, God came in and blessed them and they sang just like they was the strong links. And then I realized, I'm thankful for what I did, and I realized you got to make sure that everybody else is in sync and understands. Kimberly is saying they would know if they did warm-ups as well. True. Stagnate them between the weaker voices. Exactly. That's what I was saying. Scatter them between. Don't have all your strength. A lot of times we like to have our first row, because we've been taught that everybody recognize. Basically, honestly, we basically pay attention to the front row people. And generally, you try to put the most exuberant, the most joyful, the best singers, everybody in the front row. Generally, that's what we do. But in a regular church choir, those super choir members, they need to be dispersed between the choir in order to balance out everything. If you got all the strong people in the front and all the weak people in the back, your choir is going to seem kind of lopsided. It is. But if you want a beautiful blend of voices, mix them up. Have, it was a strong, weak, weak, strong, weak, weak, strong, weak, weak, in each section, in each row. Spread them out. And they will be like, almost like lights in between. You kind of just spread it out so that, and then it will blend and it will sound so beautiful. Oh, y'all, my mama on here, Geraldine Garrett. My mama's on here. She was my director. She was the one that made, and one thing I have to say about my mom, a lot of people talk about me and they say that I'm very fair and, how dedicated I am and what I do. That lady right there, Mrs. Geraldine Garrett, she's the reason why I am, because she was my director, and she's the one that had auditions. She was she was very, 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 very critical. I wish some of my friends was on here that was in the choir with us. My mother was very critical, and the thing is, she did not play. She did not rehearse with me. She did not. No, one rehearsal. If you didn't get it in rehearsal, you just don't get it. Okay? And she also made me audition like everybody else. I was her child. And she just looked at me like, you, sing. And if I didn't get it, guess what? Angie sat down like everybody else. And I appreciate her doing that. Even when we were directing, I'm going to tell this and then I'm going to get on to my story. My mama's here, so I'm going to tell it why she is, what I'm saying. But I remember she had the youth choir. And she didn't even know I could direct or teach or anything like that. She didn't know what I could do. Because she gave all of the children. It was, oh my God, the church that I grew up in, we had at least 150 kids. I mean, we had a lot of kids in that church. And she was over the teenage choir and the youth choir. And she gave all of the kids an opportunity to direct. She did not promote me or push me up before everybody. She didn't do that. She kept me like, okay, you in the choir, but you just like everybody else. And she gave everybody, every single child, God is my sacred judge. And mama's here, I'm not going to lie. She gave every single child in that choir a chance to direct and sing and do whatever. And I was sitting there like, like, man, she ain't letting me do nothing. But she didn't do that. Because the norm is to what? Promote your own child. Let her do whatever. But my mom, Mrs. Garrett, she didn't do that. She was like, no, okay, I'm going to give everybody else a chance. And my mom had no idea what I could do. She didn't have a wink that I could do anything. She just figured that, okay, she just sang and, whatever. Because I kept everything here from her. I didn't let her know that I was in there secretly practicing and secretly, doing whatever I was doing. And then that one Sunday, the youth choir, they called the youth choir to sing, and we sang The Blood That Jesus Shed For Me. And on a whim, my mom said, I was 9 years old, and my mom said, okay, you up. And then that's what she was like. She was playing the organ. She was like, you up. I was like, oh, wow. And I got up there and did my whatever, and the rest is history. I appreciate my mom making me stand down and giving everybody a chance. She gave all of us a chance, but she didn't promote me. What she did was made me learn like everybody else. So that's why I'm fair today. That's why I'm able to do this show today. That's why I am the way that I am, because she took the time to make sure I did things the right way. She was fair. She was honest with everybody. And I appreciate that, Mom. Thank you. Appreciate that. But anyway, let me get back. How can we build our choirs and level them out? First of all, you know what? Sometimes we hear people singing, the choir singing, and you see them call out one section, and, like Ricky Dillard does, and he may have the sopranos out to the tenors, and then he bounced it back the other way, and he's doing all kinds of stuff. A lot of times that's what we're doing is we're passing in the melody around, because however you teach, the choir gets accustomed to it. If you always start with the sopranos, you always, then everybody else kind of gets lazy. You got to mix it up. Okay? Mix it up and give everybody a chance to do the vocals and to sing or whatever. Mix it up. Give each one a chance to showboat. You'd be surprised how that builds confidence. Identifying the melody, and sometimes letting another section sing the melody. You know what I'm saying? Not always the sopranos, but pick a song and arrange it to where maybe the altos got the melody or maybe the tenors got the melody. Mixing it up helps them to develop their vocals, to develop a level of confidence. Sometimes we have imbalances because people are not confident in what they're doing. You know, some people hide behind the masses. They do. The bigger the choir, the more they hide. They don't have to do. So what we do is if you mix it up and allow different sections to do different things, then that kind of exposes it where you're able to work with it and develop it even more. And that's part of the developing skills and giving people an opportunity to step out and do something. You know, sometimes you have to, in building and leveling and just building up courage in people, sometimes you have to just let them lead a song, even though they may not have the best voice. And I'm not going to go over to that video, but even though they may not have the best voice, you want to give people an opportunity. You want them to know that you care about them learning and developing into a great singer. Everybody will not be a soloist. Let's just keep that real. You know, I give people a chance, but everybody is not a soloist, but everyone can be an excellent background singer. And the most beautiful form of singing is when you have, oh my God, when you got everybody trained, you got everybody's voice blending in at one time. And the harmony, that a cappella harmony without music and just hearing the flow. And when you get to that point and your choir members beginning to feel the flow of the music, they begin to understand this is my part, but I hear the sopranos, I hear the tenors, I know how to blend and fall in with my section. I know how to maneuver the notes. And you know, that's a beautiful thing when the choir catches the vision and they all begin to flow as one. That is an awesome feeling. And that's what you want it to be. When it starts leveling off, when they start understanding, you have to teach them that they understand. You understand? You have to teach them. I just used the same word twice, but forgive me. But you have to teach them so that they understand what exactly they're doing. You know? Because, I mean, if you talk to the average choir member and you ask them about singing, what they think singing is, you'd be amazed at what you would hear. You kind of sit there going, oh my God, no wonder I'm getting it. No wonder y'all sound the way you do, because everybody has a different understanding of what singing is. And, you know, and then everybody thinks, you know, my voice is like this and I can do this and I can do that. And then you kind of like, oh no, that's okay. Let me tell you how you're doing this, you know. But I mean, it's a very encouraging thing when your choir members begin to understand what you're trying to do with their voices. A lot of times they don't understand, and that's why sometimes we get opposition. Not really opposition, that's kind of a strong word to use, but you get a little pushback because they really don't understand. Be able to understand and communicate to them what you're trying to do with their voices, where you're trying to get them to. You understand what I'm saying? Again, you can use your stabilizers. The people in there that are even pretty much every time they come, pull them out and let them sing to give them an idea. A lot of times, being in a choir is a visual hearing type situation. And you have to be able to demonstrate to them how things should be done. So that means that you need to practice. You need to be at a certain spiritual level in order to communicate that. And you do have to have music theory and understand what music really is. You know, it's hard to teach somebody something when you really don't understand it yourself. And that's where we get all of this different emotional drama and all of these different things going on. Make sure that you understand what's really going on. And then when you understand, you can convey the message. But the most beautiful thing is when everyone understands and they begin to work together. Hey, Annette, when everybody begins to work together and you hear those notes start to blend. You ever hear the Africans sing? That is, I mean, that's my ultimate goal, to write a song. I've written a cappella songs and my choir sings them. But to sing them with that African rhythm and voice and texture and harmony is very tight and very strong, and it just blends. And you know, and sometimes I always teach my choir how to sing a cappella because it's easy for them to feel the rhythm of the music, to feel, it makes them all become one. Well, they don't rely on the music. You know, when we're living this life for Christ, we don't rely on ourselves. We rely on Christ within us to help us live. When you're teaching them a cappella, they learn to feel the music within themselves. They do. And then all you have to do is just give them pitches and they're right on point. That's all I do with my choir. I just give dun, 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 and I give pitches and they flow. And they can hear their own selves when they get out of tune. I don't really have to say nothing. I just look at them and they like, that's not right. Train them to work together. Not be in opposition with one another, but train them. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you so very much. Kimberly has heard my choir sing. But they blend, and it's just a beautiful, I think one of the favorite songs around Christmas time is The Night That Christ Was Born by Kirk Franklin. He has music with it, but I've arranged it so that my choir sings it totally a cappella, and with all of the crescendos, the pianissimos, and all of the voice arrangements and everything, and it just flows so beautiful, and everybody just sit there. And I mean, I'm one of those people who don't like to sing the same song over and over. You know, I'm done with it. I sang the last year. I'm done. They're not satisfied until we sing that song. So every Christmas we sing the same song because that's the way they want to hear it. It doesn't matter if that's what they want to hear. That's what they want to hear. But when you train them and teach them how to blend, this is not a showboat. This is not about you. This is about the group working together. It's a beautiful thing to see them work together. And when they all catch the vision and they all blend in, it is so beautiful. And you feel good because now you see everything start coming to fruition. And it's a beautiful feeling. And whenever they go out, whatever you train them to do, when they go out and sing among people, that's what they're going to do. So that's what I'm saying. Learn to listen. You know how you want them to sound. When you're in rehearsal, don't let things slide. If it's not right, don't let it slide. Correct that. And get them to understand why you're correcting it. Because they'll do it at the wrong time and then you'll be embarrassed. It's a reflection of you. If you don't remember anything else I said, remember, however you teach your choir, it's a reflection of you. All right, so I hope my friend is listening and I answered the question that they presented to me on how to balance the choir. I hope whatever I said helped you out on tonight. I appreciate each of you tuning in and liking and sharing this video and all of your comments, your waves, and whatever else. And I'm asking you to continue to pray for me that I continue to be the best directress that I can be and have information to share with you all so you can become the best that you can be as well. I love all of you all. Have a wonderful evening. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a wonderful night and peace.